Hi guys, welcome to Little Wicket Railway. I'm Rob and in this video we're looking at the Hornby Intercity Express train set. This is Hornby reference R1207 and I think it came out in around 2018. Believe it or not, this was an Aldi supermarket special buy and they're selling it for £79.99, which seems pretty cheap for what looks like quite a hefty train set. Let's get this open, see what's inside and find out whether it's amazing value or whether it's cheap for a reason. Here's the box and we've got a big picture of the model on the front, powering away from London into the southeast. Below that we've got the contents and in the bottom right we've got some information about the train included with the pack. Feel free to pause and read, but I'll give you a brief history on the prototype a bit later. There's not much else to say about the box, so let's open it up. Plenty to look at in here, and the first thing we see is the pack on top. This contains an instruction sheet, an orange rerailer to help you get the models onto the track easily, and a track mat. I like the track mats, they help bring the layout to life, and if you're planning to run this on the floor, then they give you a nice clean surface to stop any dust or fluff getting into your models. Then under that we've got the basic Hornby analogue controller. This controller doesn't have many fans, but it does the job, and importantly the short circuit protection is very quick. We've got the track and there's plenty of it. We've got the large oval plus track pack A, which includes a point with a siding and a buffer stop, so that's a positive. Now on to the models. We've got a Class 395 Javelin with two driving pantograph trailers and a coach. So I'll get these out, take some photos and we can have a closer look. But first, a bit of information on the prototype. The Class 395 Javelin is a dual voltage electric multiple unit, an EMU, built by Hitachi for high-speed commuter services on High Speed 1 in the southeast of England. They entered service in 2009 and usually operate as a 6-car set, travelling up to 140 miles per hour, although 2 sets can be joined together to make a 12-car set. 29 sets are in use and they've all been named, usually after fast sportsmen or women. Although not featured on this model, in 2013 the train in this set, number 395021, was named Ed Clancy MBE after the professional track and road cyclist. But back to the models and let's start with the driving pantograph trailers. They come in the southeastern colours with Intercity Express printed on the sides and the electric multiple unit set number 395021 at either end. The driving pantograph trailers or DPTs are individually numbered 39211 and this is the model that contains the motor, and we've got a dummy DPT without a motor numbered 39216. And they're a bit of a mixed bag in terms of detail and features. Let's start with the good stuff. Both have headlights that switch on and off depending on the direction of travel, and Hornby have used electronics to ensure that the lights are a constant brightness no matter what the speed, and they don't suffer from any flickering. So that's a really impressive start considering the more expensive Hornby GWR HST set that I reviewed the other day had lights that changed brightness with speed and didn't have any lights on the dummy car at all. Another feature is that both cars have movable pantographs, which can be raised and lowered by hand. And I thought these might be a bit fragile, but despite only being plastic, they stay in place and actually feel quite robust. The pantographs connect to some equipment on the top of the cars. Different colours have been used, but it still looks pretty plasticky. Apart from the pantograph and associated equipment, the rest is all moulded detail, although I have to say I'm rather impressed with the vents on top where they've moulded a fan behind the mesh. On the sides, the doors have been set back and given a different colour, but everything else is in the same shade of blue. A lot of signage that would have been on the prototype is missing, and areas such as door handles and door entry lights haven't been picked out. All the glazing is heavily tinted, meaning it's not possible to see inside the cab or the seating areas, and whilst the prototype does look like the windows are tinted, I don't think they're this dark. I suspect Hornby have used this as a way of saving money by not including any interior. Despite the lack of detail, I still think these are beautiful looking trains. The dark cab glass next to the yellow nose with the headlights on looks really cool. On the DPT with the motor, it looks like we've got pickups on all the wheels, although 2 of these have traction tyres. And on the dummy DPT, we've got pickups on the front bogie to supply power to the lighting. I tried to open up the bodywork to look at the motor and the electrics, but there's no information on how to do this in the instructions, and having unscrewed everything I could see and slid screwdrivers down the side of the bodywork, nothing was coming off. Whilst this makes it a really robust model, which can probably withstand quite a bit of rough play, it does mean that servicing or upgrading this to digital might be tricky. Drop me a note in the comments if you've managed to get the body off one of these without damaging it. I'll quickly drop the DPT with the motor onto the rolling road so we can get an idea of how smoothly it runs and what the speed range is like. Here we are on the rolling road and I'm using the controller that came with the set. Let's start by putting it on half power. The first noticeable thing here is that the motor gives quite a buzz, but it looks to have pulled away smoothly and is running along nicely. Now let's turn it up to the max. Well, it's hard to say, but that looks very fast to me. I know it's meant to be going 140 miles per hour, but I would be surprised if that managed to stay on the curves. Now let's turn it down to a crawl and see how slow we can go. I'll try and get the camera to zoom in right on the wheels here. And I'm really impressed with that. It looks like you can get some really nice slow speed running with this model using this basic controller. Okay, let's take a look at the coach. Just like the DPT, it's in the Southeastern Intercity Express livery and we've got coach number 39212. The windows are again tinted, so I assume there's no interior to talk about. Just like the other models, the level of detail is pretty basic. We've got the 3 moulded roof panels, which are quite nice, but most of the other moulded detail hasn't been painted to highlight it. We do have metal wheels, which is a nice touch, and it seems to roll very smoothly. However, I've been holding back what I think is a major issue with these models, and that's the couplings. They've got this hook and pin system, which is completely non-standard, and I think they look awful. I suspect this may have been used instead of the standard couplings to make it easier to connect the units together, maybe with a younger audience in mind. This really limits what you can couple up to. Having said that, I suppose the only other model you might want to connect this to would be extra coaches to make this into the full 6-car set, and that brings us on to the next downside. Hornby didn't make extra coaches to go with this set. They do make class 395 coaches in a similar livery, but they're more detailed and won't be compatible with this set. So if you want extra coaches, you need to find train sets that have been broken up where someone is prepared to sell you the coach individually. So, overall, what do we think of the Hornby Intercity Express train set? Well, for a supermarket special buy, I set my expectations pretty low, but it's actually surprisingly good. Let's start with the plus points. Most importantly, it runs really well. It's incredibly smooth and I didn't have a single stall. I can genuinely say I really enjoyed driving this train. It's got some standout features like the flicker-free directional lighting, which is actually significantly better than the lighting found on some more expensive models. The movable pantographs are nice and you get plenty of track for your money. And now for the negatives. Is there a reason this is significantly cheaper than other Hornby train sets of a similar size? Well, I think it comes down to detail. There just isn't as much on these models. And potentially quality. It's solidly built, but it's all moulded plastic, and that makes it feel more like a toy than a scale model. Although there's nothing to stop you ordering some decals or getting a paintbrush out to add some more detail, but something you can't change are the couplings, and I really don't like them. Something else you can't change is the fact that Hornby don't sell extra coaches for this, so you're basically stuck with the 3-car set, unless you can find someone who is prepared to sell you one from a broken up set. Also, this isn't DCC ready, and given the electronics involved with the lighting and how hard it was to get the body off, I don't think this would be a simple conversion, so that's just something to keep in mind if you're into digital. If you're watching this thinking you really like the look of the train but you want more detail, then it might be worth saving up for the Hornby Class 395 train pack. This sells for around £140 and it doesn't come with a track and controller, but it is significantly more detailed. It comes as a 4-car set, and importantly, you can buy the 2 extra coaches to make the full 6-car set. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give me a like and a subscribe. As usual, I will leave you with some shots of the Class 395 running around Little Wicket. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you again soon.